Welcome to the AI for Career Success video overview by Curt Robbins, where we help you get smarter than your competition.
Today, we're breaking down a very significant announcement from Microsoft on January 13, 2026, concerning its community-first AI infrastructure. For this analysis, we're synthesizing information from several key sources, including CNN, Reuters, and the Wall Street Journal.
So, we're in the middle of this massive AI boom. But to power it all, you need these enormous data centers. And this rapid large-scale build-out has started to create some pretty significant friction with local communities across the United States. You know, while the tech industry and Washington frame this expansion as essential, people on the ground are starting to ask, what is the real cost here? A huge piece of this friction comes down to energy consumption. These facilities require just vast amounts of electricity. And get this, a Bloomberg News analysis found that this demand has led to potential electricity cost increases of as much as 267% in some areas near these data centers. That's compared to just 5 years ago. You know, the backlash is really coming from multiple directions. Of course, there are the direct financial impacts, like those soaring utility bills. Then there are the environmental concerns, like the massive amount of water these facilities use for cooling. And all of this is compounded by a feeling that there's a lack of transparency in the planning process, not to mention broader fears about AI eliminating jobs. And this opposition isn't just talk, it's having very real, tangible consequences. For instance, the Financial Times reported that Microsoft was actually forced to cancel a major 244-acre data center project in Wisconsin. Why? Because local residents mobilized and rallied against the plan. So, in response to this growing resistance, Microsoft has launched a new initiative. And the company is framing this as more than just a minor adjustment. They're calling it a fundamental shift in how they approach developing their AI infrastructure. The messaging is coming straight from the top. The company's leadership is really emphasizing this commitment to being a responsible community partner. CEO Satya Nadella put it plainly, stating that Microsoft is committed to being a good neighbor as it continues to expand its AI footprint. And Microsoft's president, Brad Smith, even went a step further. He essentially acknowledged a historical failure across the entire industry. He noted that in the past, a lack of communication created a culture that, in his words, they now need to evolve and change. It's a significant admission.
Okay, so this pivot sounds good in theory, but what does it actually look like in practice? Let's examine the specific, actionable framework that Microsoft has laid out in its community-first plan.
The plan is built around 5 key pillars, each one designed to directly address those community concerns. They are covering their own power costs, replenishing local water supplies, creating local jobs, paying full property taxes without seeking breaks, and finally, investing in local AI training programs. So, first and most critically, the company is pledging to cover its own energy footprint. They're going to pay utility rates high enough to cover not only their own power consumption, but also any necessary grid upgrades. The whole point is to shield local residents from seeing rate hikes on their bills. Second, let's look at water usage. Here, Microsoft is committing to what it's calling a water-positive approach. This means they'll not only work to minimize consumption and publish transparent data on their water use, but they're also pledging to replenish more water than their facilities actually consume in each region. The final 3 commitments really center on direct economic and social investment. Microsoft is pledging to train local residents for jobs, pay their full and fair share of property taxes without asking for special reductions, and invest in community AI literacy and local nonprofit programs. Now, it's important to recognize that this initiative wasn't announced in a vacuum. It's drawn a lot of attention from industry observers and political figures, and its timing is certainly noteworthy. The announcement came directly on the heels of public pressure from the Trump administration. The Monday before Microsoft's announcement, the president signaled on social media that major changes were coming to address data center costs, which is a key issue ahead of midterm elections. The very next day, Microsoft made its move. And as the Wall Street Journal reported, the administration quickly praised the move. President Trump framed Microsoft's pledge as a model, stating that it's the first of several tech companies that are expected to make these kinds of commitments. This has really ignited a crucial discussion within the tech industry. The central question now is whether this pledge will set a new standard. Will it create a sort of reputation competition among the other big cloud providers, the hyperscalers, to prove they can be better corporate citizens? Ultimately, what this does is reframe the idea of community partnership. It suggests it's no longer just a public relations exercise, but instead a core, non-negotiable part of building a successful and sustainable AI infrastructure business. Which leaves us with the question, is this the new price of admission for leadership in the age of AI? Thank you for joining this analysis. This is where we teach you AI and help you get smarter than your competition. To continue learning with us, please subscribe to the AI for Career Success YouTube channel and like, comment, and share to help us reach a wider audience.